first, like a little bit of context, because I think like nobody knows Basque Culinary Center or even Basque Country here. So Basque Culinary Center is, just to sum up, is a gastronomic faculty of Mondragon University. Also, it's a research and innovation center in Basque Country. This is Basque Country. It's very, very north Spain. Yeah, it's San Sebastian. It's very close to France. And whereas some of the people like is talking here, like Magnus or Sname, have always gone to making classes here. So it's a very also well-known university in San Sebastian, in Spain mainly. And I'm not going to say a lot about this, just to make it know, like we do like a lot of different interactions internationally and nationally. And today I'm here to talk especially about two initiatives. One is Bee Culinary Lab, that I'm the coordinator of this initiative, that we take like mostly sustainability and use it food waste like in innovation and with different techniques to actually make new products, not only to make stocks, or I'm going to develop this a little bit more, and also the Basque Culinary World Prize. That's two, I think, the main initiatives that I want to show you today. Bee Culinary Lab is in the Research and Innovation Center of Basque Culinary Center, and we take this, I will say, way of seeing food waste, like not food waste, like a normal product, and we really try to teach this to our students. That is one of the most important part here is like we are separately from the university, but obviously we create knowledge and concepts for the university, and we try to, everything I will show you, we teach them to the students, like in normal basics. Not something like you have to recycle, you have to do this to create something. No, it is in her normal activities, okay? So this is a very cliche phrase that I really would like to use. So it's basically that we are using things that all of the people have seen, and mostly also techniques like fermentations, for instance, like most of the people know and extremely traditional in some places, and always depends on the content, on the context, sorry. Depends on how we look at it and how we take it. We can say that this is an innovation, but in some part of the world, this is extremely traditional. So that's why I think this phrase really sums up and says what we are really doing here. When people see this, most of the people would say, in the best case scenario, that this is compost, or in other cases, maybe with the bones of the fish or you can make stock or soups. But we would really see with this really what's this in the composition. Yeah? Obviously, we have this is carbohydrates, proteins, and bread is mainly carbohydrates, just a little bit of protein. So if we understand this, we can really use this like a normal, regular product. For instance, in case one of the research we are doing right now, that I'm not going to show it later, it's with the skins of the banana, with the skins of the plantain, we're making the same process as vanilla. So we are making vanillas, but only with the skins of the plantains. So that's something, if you understand that this is full of carbohydrates, full of pectins, and you compare it with our vanilla, there's many similarities in the composition. Obviously, your final product is not going to smell like vanilla. But in this case, it's like licorice, like cacao, like a little caramelized. It's way interesting. But this is, if you think it and compare it like in the composition, it's quite obvious to do something like that. And also, in the case like in the bread, you know, that's full of carbohydrates, and you can see what I'm going to develop a little bit more about the bread later. So you can really think, and this is the way we see this. So if we have like, I don't know, carrot skins or whatever, we start using how are really the composition of this and how we do this. And if you know like a little bit about fermentation, you know fermentation is all about carbohydrates and proteins. Independently what type of fermentation you are doing or what type of technique specific you are doing, it's all about carbohydrates, sugars, and proteins. So that's why we always use like fermentation as a starting point for this. And for us, fermentation was like the most basic tool to create and start to developing on this. I will give a few examples with this. First, The normal ones with the fruit and vegetable skins, like through dehydration, infusions, or fermentation. The first one is this one. It's the start of any fermentations, and we will separate all these pictures and all these developments I'm showing is all made with the leftovers of the food waste of the first year students. So we talk with the teachers of the first year students. So when they start to learn to cut, to make a brunoise, to make a julienne, to fillet a fish, or basic normal things, they give us all the food waste, and we develop all these kind of things. So this was the first one. Just to separate, I would say like the sweet skins, like pumpkin, limes, lemons, carrots, all celery leaves or celery stems, all these like sweet skins, and all the savory ones. We'll say like garlic peels or onions peels, and even some stems from different herbs. And we start to develop like infusions. In this case, it's you say the most basic infusion in the world, like the hydra, but we're using this to make syrups for the cocktails. So we have like a lot of masters in bartender workshops or bartender masters, and we have like different kind of syrups so they can use, but only make with this. So they have like a pumpkin syrup, like a carrot syrup, like whatever syrup, but made from this. And then we start working also like vinegars. This is carrot peels or peels in general, skins in general, doesn't have enough carbohydrates to actually ferment normally through alcohol. So you cannot have vinegar. You have to have alcohol to have vinegar. So what you just did was add alcohol. So we make, you can say this is like a little broth. So we toast all the skins that we have, because one of the biggest problems that we have here is to tell the teachers that they separate the skins. That was very, very difficult. So in this case, we have everything mixed, and we just toast it, make it like an infusion, and then we add vodka, and it's very strong, and then fish pump, and we oxidize the alcohol and make vinegars. Now you see it's a beautiful color, amazing smell, and you can obviously see how many possibilities we have. And all this with the first year, they like 3 or 4 different kind of vinegars that are using in the second year. So this is why I'm saying that this is very included in the education of the students. So they produce the waste in the first year, and they use all these resources on all these products in the second year for their restaurant. Also different ones like all the pulp from the juicing machine, all the skins from the lemons for the bartenders, or oranges, or even stems. We just put salt, lacto-fermented, and make this kind of sauerkraut kimchi. So still also for they can use it in the restaurant, not just to do it, so they can really use them. Something very interesting that we have, like, was a very particular point in the semester, but was very, very good for us. Like, when the pastry, there's a few pastry masters in Basque Culinary Center, and they use, like, a lot of apricots, plums, and things. And we start using the pits. If you understand the pits of it's basically the same, it's called prunes, like an almond. And you have all these amazing molecules like mesaldehyde, that you have like bitter almond smell and everything, but this is very normal. For instance, like amaretto, that's very well famous about this almond liquor, is rarely made of almonds. It's rarely, if you see, like, it's always apricot pits, and in some specific brands has a little bit of almonds, okay? So you have all this in different kind of pits, and obviously, with understanding this, and it's the same, I'll tell you, if you really know what is this pit, you are not going to think about this, about compost, I will say. You know that this is full of flavor, full of smell, full of benzeldehyde or linalool, or depending on the seeds. We use chirimoya seeds also to make coffee, watermelon seeds to make different infusions. So you can understand that you can do, this is just an example, but you can do whatever you want. Like, oils, ice creams, milkshakes, whatever. And also we using a lot. I'm going to talk a little bit about spirits that we are doing right now, and to blitz it with different alcohols, and vacuum distill it with a normal rotavac, and make this almondy sweet smell that doesn't have sense, but it's like sweet smell of bitter almonds. And you can really use it like in your shell, like not having something very particular, so you can have plum pits or apricot pits, like you have cinnamon in your shelf. Okay. Coffee grounds was very important for us, because when we start to making this program, like real making everything and research about everything, we haven't any students. So we didn't have any food waste at that moment. But one of the things that never closed in the university is obviously the cafeteria. And we are not much people, but even we throw out like 8 to 10 kilos of coffee grounds a day. So we have a lot of this, and we start making a lot of different things with this. There's many scientific articles about all the things I'm telling, but especially about how to use spent coffee grounds with this. And you see there's still like a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of proteins, and a lot of caffeine. Yeah, so thinking about this, like we start making like a kombucha with this. Obviously you can do vinegars, you can do infusions, you can do whatever. And we really say to the student that when they want to make something with coffee flavor, that they don't use coffee, that they can use coffee grounds, and it will be like the same. So, and it's still a lot of caffeine. So we start to preparing like this kombucha, like obviously a lot of probiotics, you all know kombucha, and a lot of caffeine also. And this is like a little video on how we make it. If it starts. Oh. Sorry. I know how to do this. There's video. No, I think there's a problem with the video. If you see this, the loop is very slow, but the music already finished. So I'm going just to skip it, but if you can fix it for the next videos, please, because it's still very slow. Okay, and you all know kombucha. There's still this probiotic, a lot of caffeine, very energizing thing, kombucha. But the thing with kombucha, it's, that we just reinfuse the coffee grounds. So when you filter it, you still have the coffee grounds. And this was like a recurring thing that and yesterday, someone already showed how to grow mushrooms in the coffee grounds. So the idea is we first use it for making the kombucha, then we strain it, and with all the leftovers of the reinfusion, we start growing mushrooms. And also making this, like, do not buy the seed of the mushrooms. We start using all these mycelium parts of the mushroom that the university already bought. We take the mycelium, we inoculate it in this sterilized coffee ground. We just, in a rational oven, we just steam the coffee grounds. And then if you see, it's a very, very basic. This is the most basic one. And you can really have mushrooms with this. And even I saw once talking with Magnus Nilsson that actually they are using these packs of mycelium and hay to make broth and stocks. Because if you think about this in the same way I'm telling, if you have this block, it's just mycelium, that's mushroom flavor. In our case, will be coffee flavor, and hay. And hay is a very common and normal ingredient. This is another use for it. Surplus bread, it's very, very important here. Like, we are working with if you can pass we are working with a bakery, and they're giving us all the surplus bread. If you think about surplus bread, in the best case scenario will be like breadcrumbs. But in this case, we start making koji. You know koji, Aspergillus oryzae, about bread. And what you're going to taste now is like a soy sauce, but it's 100% bread. We make the koji, we add the crust and salt, and we make a fermentation like normal fermentation. And we also now we are making this, we'll say, sake of bread. And with this sake, we are distilling it, and we are making alcohol with this. Yeah, so it's like, I don't want to say sake, but it's Aspergillus oryzae that we make this wine bread, we'll say something, and when we distill it. You can pass it. Also with cheese way, Basque Country is one of the biggest producer of cheap cheese, and whey is one of the biggest issue. And in this case, if you see, has a lot of lactose, and lactose itself you cannot ferment lactose. So what we use is add enzymes with it, a lactase. So we break it down, galactose and lactose, and put some yeast, and you can have alcohol with this. And we are creating this kind of vodka, yeah, but only with cheap way. All of this is in our web, Big Culinary Lab. Obviously, I'm sorry, but it's in Spanish. But all this research, very detailed research about every specific point, is on our web. So if you really are interested in know a little bit more of this, just go to our website or ask him. This is connected with another initiative I'm going to talk about, that is Basque Culinary World Prize. Obviously, if you see all these techniques are very normal in different parts of the world. You see, vodka made from bread is very innovation and blah, blah, blah. But you know, then Russians have been making vodka from bread from centuries. So all these kind of techniques, all these kind of chefs that are really transforming the world, the society through gastronomy is what Basque Culinary World Prize want to really praise. No? Like the role of chefs right now has been really changed. That's the reason that we are all here. So, and the idea here is with the leadership of entrepreneurship about this, you can really transform society through gastronomy. And this is what we want to praise. What you are going to taste is the bread sauce. It's the same process of a soy sauce, like a Japanese soy sauce with Aspergillus oryzae, but it's 100% bread, all bread from the bakery that we are working with. So we have been having 3 editions, more than 500 nominees, and more than 30 different countries. And the idea here is to give something to chefs that are really using their culinary skills, like in fields like innovation, health, nutrition, education, environment, and really do something about society that are changing this. This is some of the people of the semi-finalists of the 2016. You see many people from many different parts of the world, and if you recognize them, they are doing many different approaches in gastronomy. This one, the last year's semi-finalist, and I'm going to, just to finish, a little video, I hope it's run right, about what the prize is.
It doesn't seem like much happens on Earth. Even up close, you would think that there isn't much movement. But that's not so.
Yes.
Where yesterday there was a plain, today there's a mountain range. The forest has given way to the desert. Some seas have disappeared, while others have expanded. There are volcanoes that awaken after sleeping for eternity, and rivers that do not stop for anything. Nothing is unchangeable. Nothing is forever. Everything is transformed. And everything is everything. Cooking too. And that is precisely what the Basque Culinary World Prize wants to celebrate. The transformation experienced by gastronomy when chefs understand that they can expand their role in society and have an impact beyond the kitchen. For this, a panel of judges comprising the most important chefs of the moment and significant international experts in other disciplines will award a prominent prize to whoever demonstrates how gastronomy can be a transforming force in areas such as innovation, creativity, social development, the environment, and so on. At the end of the day, and even though from afar it doesn't look like anything ever happens,
so you see the music already ends at the
everything happens.
Well, please go to the web, because we're really looking people that can show this, and you can nominate, anyone can nominate anyone. So thank you very much.